Hello and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And this week we're talking about...
That was a good one. We're talking about Scream.
I didn't want to scream because we're recording this live at Crypticon, and I thought if I did a blood-curdling scream, it might not be appropriate. Or it would be for this setting, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could work. I dare you to do it.
Nope. It's like the penis game, like yelling penis. I'd rather yell penis than scream right now. I don't know why. I guess because that's funny.
Yeah.
And screaming is just like scaring people. I don't know. So it's November, and you know what November means? It means Christmas music starts the day after Halloween. Halloween is year-round for us, but now I'm in the Christmas mood. I'm thinking about Christmas presents. I love Thanksgiving. I can't wait to eat stuffing and mashed potatoes. What are you thinking?
I love the holidays, but it did feel like November 1st, like the switch was really obvious this year, where it was just like, it's Christmas now. I feel like we need Thanksgiving music. I feel like maybe we're skipping over Thanksgiving and going right to Christmas.
Hey, recording artists out there, we challenge you to write some good Thanksgiving songs. I can't even think of one. There must be some Thanksgiving songs.
I don't think so. Is there? Tweet us the Thanksgiving song.
So my favorite thing about Thanksgiving, like the thing that I always used to do when I was a kid, was I'd wake up and watch the Macy's parade, the Thanksgiving Day parade. My big thing, the floats were cool, but I've always loved theater, and the Broadway shows do theatrical performances, and I love it.
I love the Macy's Day Parade. It just makes me feel like it's Thanksgiving, and it makes me hungry just watching it. I'm excited for pumpkin pie. Also, I like now that they have the little dog show after. Do you guys watch that? Oh my gosh, that's a big hit in our house.
And Santa Claus ends the parade. Like, it's so great. And I love eating, and other people in my household like to watch football, but that just means I get to go into a turkey coma, even though I don't eat turkey.
Thankfully, no one in my household cares about football, so I don't have to listen to it.
Well, I just go into like my room and, cuddle up with a warm blanket and a good book.
Yes, oh my God. Now I just want it to be Thanksgiving.
So I love November in general, just because it's like still fall and the holidays, and then December is always super crazy and super busy, but it's all worth it, right?
Yeah, I was too stressed out last year at Christmas, so I'm hoping that this Christmas is just a little quieter. I just want to like chill more, and not be running around as much.
Yeah, I agree. I saw somebody post on Facebook. They were posting pictures of all of their kids' toys, like in every room of their house. And they said, don't get our kids toys for Christmas because we have no room for them. And some people responded outraged, saying, like, that's all kids want, and you're taking Christmas away from them. And the mom was freaking out. And finally, I think what was decided through 147 comments was that they need to donate toys that they don't play with anymore, and they need to rotate some toys like in the garage and bins and stuff, just so it's not chaos. What do you think about telling people not to get your kids anything?
Well, I agree they need to donate toys. I think that would help, but yeah, I don't know. I always think it's weird when like people are like, don't bring gifts for my kid for a birthday party. I think it's okay if you say, Santa's going to probably be getting them toys this year. Could you guys get them books or pajamas or something? I think that would be okay.
Yeah. But I don't want to deny kids any toys at all. No. Like that seems harsh. Even though maybe our kids don't need toys, they love them.
They need them.
Okay, they need them. So you let us know. Meg had a great article in Curiosity Quills about gifts for that hard to find or that hard to shop for a horror fan, and she did a shout out to Gothic Gifts. Thanks, Meg. But sometimes it is hard to buy gifts for people. Who's the hardest person to buy gifts for in your life?
Probably my dad, because he's stubborn, and like if I give him a gift card, he waits all year to use it. And I don't know, who's hard for you?
I guess my parents also, because they don't need anything like physical, and they've downsized recently, and so it's just about like finding gift cards that they can use, I think. And I know people say don't get gift cards or gift certificates, but come on. So I love those.
That's my favorite gift. You guys can send me gift cards. I will post my P.O. box after this.
So we're talking about the movie Scream. I saw this in the theater. How about you?
I don't think I saw it in the theater. I know I saw Scream 2 in the theater, but it came out when I was 12, and I don't know if there would have been anybody to go see it with me. So, yeah, I think I saw it because of Blockbuster.
Good old Blockbuster. Can you give us a little background on the movie?
Sure. So it came out in 1996. It's starring Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Skeet Ulrich, Rose McGowan, and, of course, Drew Barrymore. It's 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was written by Kevin Williamson and directed by Wes Craven. So what's kind of interesting is that Kevin Williamson at the time was inspired by true crime to write Scream. He was watching things about the Gainesville Ripper. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Do you know that one? This man was killing students at the college in Gainesville, Florida, which actually my brother lived there for many years. He ended up killing 5 women. And Kevin Williamson was very scared by this guy. His name's Danny Rolling. You guys can look it up. It's pretty sick and twisted. Very slasher type. And Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter, noticed while he was watching these news accounts of the Gainesville Ripper that he had an open window in his cabin, and he was like very freaked out and scared. So he quickly sat down and he wrote sort of a short film about a woman being alone and being taunted on the phone by a killer. Well, he kind of set that aside and went on to work for other things and on other scripts. And then he decided to sit back down and finish. And in 3 days, he wrote the Scream screenplay. And after that, he ended up writing sort of rough outlines of Scream 2 and Scream 3 so that he could sort of sell it as a franchise. So that's kind of how Scream was born. And then once it was attached to Wes Craven, well, at that time, a lot of the censors were saying, like, oh my gosh, you can't have this in it, you can't have that, it's too violent. But thankfully, because Wes Craven is considered, of course, a horror god, Kevin Williamson's script was kept intact. And he loved everything, and he didn't think it was too violent. And so, yeah, that's the story of Scream.
So I feel like with this movie, and especially within that time, like 1996, first of all, it felt like a resurgence of horror movies. It felt like, or it is a meta horror movie, a horror movie about horror movies. And then also it felt like a love letter to horror movies and horror fans.
So the screenwriter said that it was a love letter to Halloween and Friday the 13th and all those. So yeah, you're so right. And the influence is so obvious. And of course, yeah, I think the thing that sticks in everybody's mind and what makes Scream sort of transcend a lot of movies in that era is the meta-ness of it, and that it's sort of, in a way, it's aware that it's a horror movie, and that really makes it fun. Of course, the character of Jamie Kennedy, he's sort of all of us.
I love it. And this also, speaking of comebacks, this is Drew Barrymore's comeback, because she was sort of out of the limelight for a while, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, Drew Barrymore is in the beginning of Scream, you have to see it, and it was this huge deal, and then all of a sudden she was in movies again. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it really helped her career, and I think it was that Janet Leigh effect of the fact that when you see Drew Barrymore at the beginning, we all thought she was going to continue to be in the movie, and then she wasn't, and it was this great twist that sort of set the tone of the movie, and it helped her career and really made her character like stand out as this short little segment in the beginning that was like, oh my god. And that part is scary.
It's terrifying. And you actually see her getting stabbed and calling out for her parents. I mean, that's terrifying. It was really well done. Speaking of comebacks again, around like a year previous, remember John Travolta had his comeback when Quentin Tarantino cast him in Pulp Fiction. And he hadn't really been in anything legit for a long time. And then all of a sudden, people started casting John Travolta in, like, action movies and stuff.
It gives us all hope that we can get knocked down and then get up again. Is that a Chumbawamba song?
Okay, so yes, that beginning sequence is great. I love the setup of this. I love that. What's her character's name? Nev Campbell's character, Sydney. I just have to think about the voice on the phone saying her name. I love that her dad is going away. Her mom has been murdered, of course, and her dad's going away for the weekend or week or whatever, and all of a sudden things start happening in this little town.
Just to rewind real quick, when Drew Barrymore in the beginning, remember her boyfriend is tied up? I just want to say that if you guys are going to kidnap my husband and tie him up and I have to save his life, please ask me horror trivia on the phone, because I knew the answer, and if it's math, I'm fucked.
Oh no, you just revealed your weakness to all the serial killers out there. Yeah, give Meg math equations. Luke would be like, just kill me now. Well, a fun story about Meg and Luke meeting. They went on their first date, in quotation marks. As a excuse, they got together so he could tutor her in math.
I still am really bad at math, so it didn't work.
There was not a lot of tutoring going on, I guess.
Oh my.
Okay. Yes, the setup. It's a great setup. These freaking guys in the high school who end up, spoiler alert, being the killers. Like, ugh.
I wrote down in my notes, like, the predatory nature of teen boys. Yeah. Like, they're predators. Yeah. And not just because they want to kill you. I mean, they weren't the only ones that were the predators. I mean, I know, I'm, like, getting shivers thinking about Skeet Ulrich, like, coming up to her window. It's like, go away. Get out of here. This is not okay.
Those characters were really well written because I really felt scared of them just as like high school guys. Like, I didn't want them being around me. I didn't want them touching me. I love Dewey and Courtney Cox. Like, what's her name? What's her character name? Gail Weathers. Yeah. I love them and how they met on that movie. They're not together anymore, but it's so adorable.
I'm sorry, but, like, Dewey's hot as fuck. I would. Kelly's looking at me like, no, I was watching this and I was like, he is adorable. I mean, I'm in love. Like, I had hard eyes watching this.
Meg's, like, you have always said, you kind of like the nerdy type. Like, you would date Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah? I would definitely date Clark Kent. And I would date Dewey. He's adorable in his little... I like a nerdy man. I can't help it.
Speaking of Clark Kent, did you see Justin Trudeau as Clark Kent turning into Superman?
Can I please date that Clark Kent?
Yeah. So I love Dewey and Gail. I love... What other great characters are there that are set up in this movie?
Yeah, well, I do like Gail Weathers because she's very, like, career-oriented, and I guess she's supposed to be, like, an ice queen sort of bitch, but I love it. She's set up. I feel like we're not supposed to like Gail, but I like her. She's tough. And the fact that she likes Dewey is adorable.
It's so great.
I love that parts of the movie take place in the video store, and that Jamie Kennedy's character works in the video store. It just feels so 90s, and I love it. Also, I feel like if this was taking place now, everything would be happening on the internet and not on the phone, and I'm glad that it was happening on the phone. It's creepier.
I watched this with my 10-year-old, and I had to explain to him, those are landlines, and people did not have caller ID. Not everybody did. And in Scream 2, it opens with her, like, with caller ID, like, you know, someone's trying to prank her, and she's like, oh, so-and-so, this is your number, and they're like, what? But, you know, because our kids take for granted that, oh, you couldn't see. I mean, yeah, there's blocked numbers now and whatever, but I'm like, no, this is what was happening.
There's a great thing that I loved is that Sydney, she's kind of a typical final girl in that she's very virginal, she's very serious about studying. I do love that she has this past about her mom. I think that's really cool. But she makes a reference about, quote, a big-breasted woman running up the stairs when she should be running down. And then, of course, the great irony is that she does that exact thing. And that's what I love, because people are so critical of horror movies and like, I would never do that. Oh, my God. And that it was kind of making fun of people like that.
The other thing, you mentioned how she's like this virginal character, and she is literally a virgin, and then she gets pressured by her boyfriend to sleep with him in that scene, and at that party, and I just hated it, and especially knowing like he is the predator, he is the killer. But girls do not get pressured ever into anything. Anybody, boys, girls, everybody, do not get pressured into doing anything that you don't want to do to try to make somebody happy. That is not okay, and that is not a healthy relationship.
No, that was really skeevy. It was just hard to watch as an adult. And I mean, as a teenager, you're just like, okay. But as an adult, it's like, ew, gross. I don't know. It was just upsetting. Yeah, and what's kind of fascinating is that it was, like, important to him in the sense of sticking with the horror rules, is he felt like he couldn't kill her, I guess, if she was a virgin, because that's, like, a final girl, typical sort of thing. And then it was like, oh, now she's had sex with me, so now I can kill her?
There's a lot of good setup in the story of twists and turns and not knowing who the killer is, and for a while you think it's her father, and then the deaths are really good too, like the way that some of the people die, and you see things. Oh, and the principal is Henry Winkler. Did you used to watch Happy Days?
No, that wasn't one. I watched a lot of, like, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island, all that, but I never got into Happy Days. But I like him from Arrested Development.
Yeah. So he was the Fonz on Happy Days, and he was like the cool guy. And I think that was a really nice throwback to cast him as that character, because I don't know, I grew up, so I was sort of in that era of this is somebody peripherally within the zeitgeist. Which, speaking of which, there's a couple casting choices they've done in the second season of Stranger Things 2 that the same thing. It makes you feel nostalgia for that era.
Enter my comment after I watched it. Insert my comment right here. Just kidding. Okay, it's so 90s. It has my favorite 90s song of all time, Red Right Hand. Do you know what song I'm talking about? Yeah. What I really loved was that it made horror movies cool again. Yeah. I was so excited because people at school, my friends that weren't normally into horror, like Scream. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone.
Yeah, this was right in that era. And we talked about this summer. And I Know What You Did Last Summer. But Scream came first, and then I Know What You Did Last Summer came out. And then it felt like all of a sudden all these horror movies were coming out again in the theater. And I felt like there was such a long period of time when we didn't get that kind of horror movie.
So after our feminist rant about Witches of Eastwick, what do you think about how females are portrayed in this movie?
About how females are portrayed? So I think it does it pass the Bechdel test? It does, right?
I don't know. I mean,
I guess she talks to Gail about not reporting, but they're pitted against each other.
And here's the problem. Anytime we have to go, I'm not sure if a movie passes the Bechdel test, then did it?
So, is that Amanda? No, that's not Amanda Seyfried. Who's the girl? Is it Rose McGowan? Yeah. Oh, Rose McGowan, another feminist hero. Yeah. She's sort of like the slut, right? The slutty character. Sydney's like the virginal character. We have Gail, who's the career woman, cold-hearted, frigid.
Yeah.
And then what other females are we seeing? Are there any other females in that friend group? Like Jamie Kennedy doesn't have a love interest, does he?
No, I don't remember any other.
It's problematic.
And by the way, and we've done this before, whenever we say the term slut, we mean it as an archetype, and we would never actually consider anyone a slut because it's not a real thing.
Exactly. People have sex or people don't, and they can have it as much as they want or as little as they want.
Yeah, so we use it as just as we would with a virgin, which again is sort of a concept that really doesn't even make sense. We're using it in the term of an archetype.
Thank you for the clarification. So I love this setup at the end. I'm skipping to the van part where they have the camera set up in the house during the party, but then in the van there's that 30-second delay. It's so great for a horror movie setup because he's seeing things, but it's already happened.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And the whole setup of that party and how they're outside and Gail Weathers is in the van and everything. Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh my gosh, and then Dewey shows up and they go into the party together.
Dewey, I love you. I did not have a crush on Dewey when I was a teenager, but grown-up Meg is ready. I'm ready for Dewey.
Wow, this is really interesting. See, I just think he's adorable, but I didn't have a crush on him, so...
I guess that line between adorable and want to have sex with is like really... it's really hazy for me.
Okay.
The end, and the two guys reveal their whole plan, and then Matthew Lillard like stabs himself, and it gets really sort of crazy.
And they're stabbing too deep.
Yeah. Oh wait, he doesn't stab himself. He has Skeet Ulrich stab him. What did you think the first time you saw this movie? Were you surprised that they were the killers?
I was, and that there were two of them was good, because then it explained like, oh, but I just saw him, so it couldn't have been him, you know, in the Scream costume, which has become iconic. And I also love then Gail comes in and saves the day. It wasn't a man, right? Or was it ended up being Dewey?
No, I mean, I felt like, look, on my notes, adult Meg thinks Deputy Dewey is cute. I literally wrote that in my notes. Okay, I'm checking my notes. Oh, I wrote Skeet Ulrich is 26 when they filmed this, and Nev Campbell's 23. Yeah. It's always interesting. Okay, I'm looking through my notes. I have a lot. Oh, I said it passed the Bechdel test.
Okay.
I also said I've watched enough Forensic Files to know they're not going to get away with this, dumbasses. What's in there?
Yeah, there's a lot of DNA evidence there, right?
They were not smart about this. They compare themselves to Norman Bates and Hannibal Lecter. I'm literally just reading my notes now. Sorry, guys. I don't know. I don't really remember exactly who saved the day. I remember there's the scare at the end, right? Like, there's always that the monster. Because this movie, of course, is sort of satirical in that it's supposed to go with the horror convention.
I love how meta it is. It makes my horror heart sing.
So Jamie Kennedy says you can't pick your genre. So what genre is your life?
Oh boy. Yeah, you can't pick your genre. That's true. I think my life is a melodrama.
This is Us starring Kelly.
Wait, what?
This Is Us starring Kelly.
Oh, is This Is Us a melodrama?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
What is your genre of your life?
I mean, I don't want to say horror because that seems really not cool, but cool at the same time. I'm torn. My life is
a romantic comedy. Just kidding.
They met as math tutor and student, but she still sucks at math.
In a world. So what do you think about the Scream sequels?
I mean, they're all kind of mishmashed in my mind. I feel like Scream 2 is alright. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. It was when it starts off, the couple's going to see the movie in the theater, and she's really freaked out because everyone's wearing the costume, and then he ends up, somebody gets stabbed, like, in the bathroom, in the ear.
Yeah, and then that was parodied later in Scary Movie, that scene, right?
Yeah, and yeah.
Speaking of penises.
Yeah. And then Scream 3 is, like, on the set of the next movie or something?
Yeah, so then it just gets more meta. But, yeah, I mean, it said, when I was doing my research, it said that Scream 2 is the only one that, like, did well critically and money-wise again, you know. Okay, it's time for our fast forward segment. And Meg, I need to tell you about something that I am binge watching. Even though binge watching is, I wish I could be done with it already, but there's only so many hours in the day. I'm watching The Leftovers. Okay, that's interesting because I tried watching it. I watched like the first episode, and when he killed the dog at the end of the first episode, I'm like, you know, I'm good.
You know, and that, I remember when it first aired, you and I both watched it the night it first aired because we're like, let's check this out. And we talked to each other on the phone afterwards, and we're like, it just seemed sad, and I'm just not at that place in my life where I want to watch it. Well, do you remember what the guy said, though, after they killed the dog? He said, they're not our dogs. Dun, dun, dun.
It's still not okay.
No, it's not. I know it's not okay, but it's like this longer arc, and the reasons and everything behind it are fascinating. So let me tell you the road that I took to get to watch The Leftovers. I have been seeing, because The Leftovers just ended, there were 3 seasons, and I had been seeing critics that I follow on Twitter posting about this perfect show and all these perfect episodes, and I'm like, what? Maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. And then, coincidentally, my son and I have been watching Perfect Strangers on Hulu. And when I was Wikipediaing Perfect Strangers, I saw that Perfect Strangers is referenced in the show The Leftovers. And there's even an episode called Don't Be Ridiculous, which was Balki's tagline. And Mark Lynn Baker appears in the show as himself. And I was like, what is this? We need to start Leftovers from the beginning and just give it a chance. And let me tell you, yeah, the first episode again feels dark and disjointed and kind of sad. But move through it and past it, even move through the first season, get to the second season, it is beyond. It is so good. I'm in season 3 right now, and I can't believe that I did not watch the show live as it aired. But sometimes that's a blessing because binge watching is great. And it's so good. Justin Theroux, speaking of crushes I didn't know I had before, holy crap.
He's good looking. I mean,
just watch his show.
I have eyeballs. Like, he's good looking.
He's so good. Christopher Ecclesian, I can't think of how to say his last name, but he was Doctor Who. He's in it, and he's amazing. Carrie Coon from Fargo is in it, and I love her so much.
I was going to ask because I saw that she was in it, and I was really impressed with her in this last season of Fargo, so...
Now I can't remember her name. The woman who just won the Emmy for Handmaid's Tale. I'm going to talk about it later.
Not Elizabeth Moss?
No. The Aunt Lydia.
Oh, God, I have no idea.
I can't remember her name, but she's in it, and she's amazing, and so many good people. And there was an episode, like, early in the first season where I was crying harder than I thought I could cry at that point in the season for a character and what they were going through in the episode. And I just met these people. So I was like, holy crap, that was one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. I ended up saying that again 2 more times within the next season, and now I'm in the 3rd season, and it's blowing my mind.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Like, I don't know anybody who watches it or anything, so like I just haven't heard, like I just don't see anything about it or hear anything about it, but I'm excited. Like, if you guys would see Kelly's face, she is worked up.
Like, there are some shows that fly under the radar and people just don't understand how good they are at the time. I think Arrested Development was one of those shows because it's an amazing show, obviously, but people didn't necessarily watch it when it aired.
I remember I was in a huge lecture hall. There was probably like 200 students, and our professor was like, does anybody watch Arrested Development? And I hadn't at that time, and literally no one raised their hand, and he was just like dying because he just wanted to talk about it. And now I think about that all the time now that I've watched it. I'm like, I wish I could talk to him.
So check out The Leftovers. It is streaming on HBO Go right now, and it was on Amazon Prime for free for a while, but it's not anymore. So maybe it'll come back, though, because they do have HBO shows that cycle through. It is so good. I haven't finished season 3, so I can't say, if it ends on a high note or a low note or how it ends. But I trust them that it's going to be amazing. So let's rate our 2 picks for this week on what scale for Scream?
On Cotton Wearies.
Okay, Cotton Wearies, played by Liev Schreiber. So on a scale of 0 to 10 Cotton Wearies, 0 being you hated it, 10 being it's a perfect movie, how many Cotton Wearies do you give Scream?
I give it an 8. I think it's scary. I think the beginning with Drew Barrymore is terrifying, and I think that it holds up.
I agree. I was going to give it an 8 as well. I think it's a good movie, and it still is a good movie. My 10-year-old also enjoyed it. How are you going to rate your anticipation for The Leftovers on a scale of 0 to 10 Cotton Wearies?
Well, I have to give it 9 because you're about to come out of your chair.
If I could sprout wings and fly through the ceiling, I would. I give it a 10. This experience of watching this show is ranking up there in my top 5, probably, which is saying a lot.
Your top 5 shows of all time?
It's saying a lot, Meg.
Oh my.
And you know what else is rated up there is Bates Motel and The X-Files and Friday Night Lights, just to name a few. I know she's laughing about Friday Night Lights.
It's because, Kelly is going to murder me if I don't watch Friday Night Lights, but I'm so stubborn.
It's okay. You don't ever have to watch it. You just won't know what you're missing out on. She'll never know what Coach and Mrs. Coach are like, and she'll never know about Matt and Julie. It's fine, listeners who've watched it, you know. She's missing out on the ships of all time, but whatever. It's fine. Oh, so, hey, Horror Rewind listeners, thanks for listening this week. And if you tuned in after our feminist rant last week.
And if you didn't, fuck you. You can't hear this.
So have a great week, and we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.